Hey, what's up? Today we get into the code of the samurai. Did y'all like them? Y'all like them samurai cartoons, them samurai TV shows? I like the old school Chinese shows where they got the late mouth with the English. That's what I like. But let's get right. Let's dive right in. Dive right into the deep end. Nothing shallow over here. It ain't nothing shallow over here. Okay, so let's get right into the intro. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the intro. So, one who is a samurai must before all things keep consistently in mind by day and by night. From the morning when he takes up his chopsticks or his spoon or his fork to eat his New Year's breakfast to Old Year's night when he pays his yearly bills, the fact that he has to die. That is his chief business. If he is always mindful of this, he will be able to live in accordance with the paths of loyalty and filial duty. You have to go look that up. See that? Right there at the top. That's important. Filial duty. Alright. Will avoid myriads of evil. And adversaries. So you know who our biggest adversary is, right? Alright, so keep himself free from disease and calamities, and moreover enjoy a long life. Yeah, because it's hard to live, enjoy life with diseases and calamities all in your life. Okay, so let's move on. Okay. He will also be a fine personality with many admirable qualities. Okay. For existence is apparent as the dew of evening and the hoarfrost of morning. Okay. The particularly uncertain is the life of the warrior. Okay. And if he thinks he can console himself with the idea of eternal service to his Lord or unending devotion to his relatives, something may well happen to make him neglect his duty to his Lord and forget what he owes to. He owes to what? What he owes to his family, of course. So I gave you that. The reason I put this on here like this, in case you want to go back and read it. Because I'm not reading it right, because this is deep right here, okay? It's going to get real deep here in a second. But if he determines simply to live for today and take no thought for tomorrow, you see that? They made a mistake. See that right there at the top? Right there at the top. Check this out. Today and take no thought for the morrow, or maybe that might be right. Tomorrow might be a word, but I would say no thought for tomorrow, so that when he stands before his Lord to receive his commands, he thinks of it as his last appearance, and when he looks on the faces of his relatives, he feels that he will never see them again. Then will his duty and regard for both of them be completely sincere, while his mind will be in accord with the path of loyalty and filial duty. But, here it is, but if he does not keep death in mind, he will be careless and liable to be indiscreet and say things that offend others, and an argument ensues, and thought and through, if no notice is taken. And thought no notice was taken. So argument ensues, and he thought it went on as if no notice was taken. So, he started argument, then walked off like, oh, man, it's cool, ain't nothing gonna happen. Okay, it may be settled. If there is a rebuke, it may end in a quarrel. Then if he goes strolling about pleasure resorts and seeing the sights in the crowded places within any proper reserve, he may come up against some big fool and get into a quarrel before he knows it, and he may even be killed, and his Lord's name brought into it, and his parents and relations exposed to reproach. Okay. See that? That's a jewel right there. Run into a fool. See, y'all gotta be careful out there. That's what it's telling you. You gotta move like a samurai. You got to move like careful when we're going on. Okay. And all this misfortune springs from his not remembering to keep death always in his thoughts. But one who does this, whether he is speaking himself or answering others with carefully considered as befits a samurai. See, y'all not moving like no samurai. Y'all out there moving like Hitler. You know what I'm saying? Y'all out there moving like Hitler. That's why y'all losing. That's why y'all dying. That's why y'all getting messed up. You gotta move like a samurai, not like Hitler. See what happened to Hitler? He didn't last. He had to fake his death. Every word he says, and never launch out into useless arguments. Neither will he allow anyone to entice him into unsuitable places where he may be suddenly confronted with an awkward situation, and thus he avoids evil and calamities. See that? You gotta be smart, man. You gotta move like a samurai. You can't be out here moving stupidly, just jumping at any nigga that say something to you on some dumb shit. Because that's what he wants you to do. And both high and low, if they forget about death, are very apt to take to unhealthy excess in food and wine and women, so that they die unexpectedly early from diseases of the kidneys, the spleen, and even while they live their illness makes them of no use to anyone. But those who keep death always before their eyes are strong and healthy while young, and as they take care of their health and are moderate in eating and drinking and avoiding the paths of women. See that? See that? But those who keep death always before their eyes are strong and healthy while young, and they take care of their health, are moderate in eating and drinking and avoiding the paths of women, being abstemious. See that one right there? And moderate in all things. They remain free from diseases and live a long and healthy life. Okay. Then one who lives long in this world may develop all sorts of desires, and his covetousness may increase, so that he wants what belongs to others and cannot bear to part with what is his own, becoming in fact just like the mere tradesman. But if he is always looking death in the face, a man will have little attachments to material things and will not exhibit these graphs and covetousness qualities and will become, as I said before, a fine character. And speaking of meditation on death, Yoshida Kinko says in the Teramazu Gusa of the monk Shinika that he was wont to sit all day long pondering on his latter end. This is no doubt a very suitable attitude for a recluse, but by no means so for a warrior. Okay. For so he would have to neglect his military duties and the way of loyalty and file piety. That's an interesting word right there. Pick that, look that up. Piety. That's an important word right there, but it's always the one before it. And he must, on the contrary, be constantly busy with his affairs, both public and private. But whenever he has a little spare time to himself and can be quiet, he should not fail to revert. He should not fail to revert to this question of death and reflect carefully on it. It is not recorded that Kusum Niki Masahij adjured his son Masatara Tasara to keep death always before his eyes, and all this is for instructions of the youthful samurai. Alright, so that's all we're going to get into today. I know it was a rough read, but I think I got my point of what I was trying to say. Very interesting, very interesting. Definitely tells you how to move in this life without being tricked by some stupid fool and losing your life for nothing. Alright, yeah, we're going. I'll get into the rest of this book too, on part 2 and 3.